The discovery. The crimson sun of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the jagged canyon walls as 12-year-old Arya ventured away from her parents' research camp. The desolate planet at the edge of known space held countless mysteries, and her explorer's heart couldn't resist the call of the unknown. Her boots crunched softly on the alien gravel as she navigated between towering rock formations. The air was thin but breathable, carrying strange scents of metallic minerals and exotic flora. Arya had traveled to 17 different worlds with her scientist parents, but this place felt different, ancient and somehow alive. A sound stopped her in her tracks. Low and rumbling, yet tinged with something that made her heart ache. It was pain, unmistakable and raw. Following the sound deeper into the canyon, she discovered a narrow crevice between two massive boulders. What she found there took her breath away. Curled in the shadows lay a creature from her wildest dreams, an alien dragon, its scales shimmering like liquid starlight. Each scale was edged with delicate ridges that caught the dying light, creating patterns of gold and silver across its majestic form. Its wings were folded tight against its body, and intelligent eyes, dark as the void between stars, watched her approach. But those eyes held no aggression. Instead, they were filled with pain and a vulnerability that tugged at her soul. The dragon's labored breathing revealed the source of its agony. A twisted, blackened thorn was lodged deep in the corner of its mouth, and alien blood glistened where it had pierced the creature's flesh. The sight made Arya's stomach clench with sympathy. "Hello there," she whispered, her voice barely audible in the canyon's silence. "I won't hurt you." The dragon's eyes followed her every movement as she slowly knelt beside it. Its massive head was close enough that she could see her reflection in those ancient, knowing eyes. Trembling, she extended her hand toward its snout. "I want to help you," she said softly. For a moment that felt like eternity, they regarded each other, a small human girl and a magnificent alien dragon, two beings from different worlds connected by a moment of pure compassion. The healing bond. The dragon's scales were warm beneath Arya's fingertips, each one a masterpiece of natural engineering. She could feel the creature's pain radiating through its body, and her heart ached in response. The thorn was deeply embedded, its twisted form clearly alien to this world. "This is going to hurt," she murmured, gripping the thorn with both hands. "But I promise it'll be better afterward." With one swift, determined motion, she yanked the thorn free. The dragon's roar shook the canyon walls, a sound that was part pain, part relief, and part something indefinable. Its massive wings unfurled in a display of iridescent beauty, casting rainbow shadows across the rocky walls. For a terrifying moment, Arya thought she had made a terrible mistake. But then the dragon lowered its great head, and their eyes met. In that gaze, she saw something that transcended language, gratitude, recognition, and the beginning of trust. A low, rumbling purr emanated from the creature's chest as it nuzzled her gently with its snout. Arya laughed, a sound of pure joy that echoed through the canyon. She reached out to touch the spot where the thorn had been, now just a small mark among the dragon's glittering scales. "There," she said, smiling. "That's much better, isn't it?" The dragon studied her for a long moment, then did something extraordinary. It extended one massive wing, sweeping it around her in a gesture that felt protective, almost loving. Then it lowered its head and nudged her toward its back. Arya's heart raced. The dragon wanted her to climb on. Every rational part of her mind screamed warnings, but something deeper, an instinct she couldn't name, told her to trust. With trembling hands and pounding heart, she climbed onto the dragon's back, feeling the rough texture of its scales beneath her palms. The dragon rose gracefully, spreading its wings wide. In one powerful motion, they launched into the alien sky. The world fell away beneath them, and Arya held on tight as they soared through the air. The wind whipped her hair, carrying scents of distant storms and unknown flowers. Below, the landscape rushed by in a blur of rugged cliffs and winding canyons. She had never felt so alive, so free, so utterly amazed by the universe's infinite possibilities. Ancient revelations. The dragon carried her through landscapes that defied imagination, over pools of liquid silver that reflected twin moons, across fields of bioluminescent plants that pulsed like the planet's heartbeat, and between towering spires of crystal that sang in the wind. Finally, they descended into a hidden valley nestled between two massive peaks. The moment Arya's feet touched the ground, she knew this place was special. Ancient symbols were carved into the rock walls, glowing with a soft, rhythmic light that seemed to respond to their presence. "What is this place?" she asked, not expecting an answer. To her amazement, the dragon approached the carved symbols and pressed its snout against them. The markings blazed brighter, bathing them both in golden light. Suddenly, Arya's mind filled with visions, images that weren't her own but felt as real as memory. She saw this world as it once was, teeming with life and wonder. Dragons soared through skies filled with floating cities, working alongside beings that looked almost human but moved with an otherworldly grace. She witnessed an age of cooperation and knowledge-sharing that spanned entire galaxies. But then the visions darkened. Shadowy figures appeared, wielding weapons that looked remarkably like the thorn she had removed. These weren't just thorns, they were tools of control, designed to bind and subjugate the dragons, to steal their freedom and turn them into slaves. The dragon beside her let out a low, mournful sound, and Arya understood. The thorn hadn't just been causing physical pain, it had been a remnant of an ancient oppression, a mark of those who sought to dominate rather than cooperate. "They tried to control you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Your whole species." The dragon's eyes met hers, and in that moment, she felt the weight of history, the pain of generations, and the hope that her simple act of kindness had rekindled. By removing the thorn, she hadn't just healed a wound, she had broken a chain that had bound this magnificent creature to a painful past. As the visions faded, Arya sat beside her new friend, watching the first stars appear in the alien sky. She felt changed, older somehow, as if she had been entrusted with something precious and important. But their moment of peace was about to be shattered. Part 4, The Pursuit. The sharp crack of breaking stone shattered the valley's tranquility. Arya's head snapped up, her heart immediately racing as she spotted figures descending the cliff faces with mechanical precision. They were human, but not like any humans she knew, armored, faceless, moving with the cold efficiency of machines. "We need to go," she whispered urgently to the dragon, who was already rising to its feet, muscles tensed and wings beginning to unfurl. One of the soldiers stepped forward, a sleek metallic device gleaming in his hand. When he spoke, his voice was distorted by his helmet's modulator, cold and emotionless. "The specimen has been located. Prepare for extraction." Specimen. The word made Arya's blood boil. They weren't looking at a magnificent, intelligent creature, they saw only a thing to be captured and controlled. "You're not taking him," she said, standing defiantly between the dragon and the soldiers, her young voice carrying surprising strength. The lead soldier tilted his head, as if amused by her defiance. "Step aside, child. This creature is property of the Dominion. It will be returned to its proper handlers." "He's not property," Arya shouted. "He's free." The soldier raised his device, and Arya recognized its twisted design. It was similar to the thorn she had removed, clearly meant to subdue and control. But the dragon had other plans. With a roar that shook the valley walls, the dragon spread its wings wide and breathed a stream of brilliant energy that sent the soldiers scrambling for cover. In the chaos, it scooped Arya up with one gentle but firm claw and launched into the sky. Behind them, the soldiers' shouts grew distant, but Arya could see their aircraft emerging from hidden positions. The chase was on. The dragon flew with desperate speed, weaving between mountain peaks and diving through narrow canyons. Arya clung tight, her heart pounding as energy beams streaked past them, leaving scorch marks on the canyon walls. "They won't give up," she called over the rushing wind. "They'll keep hunting you." The dragon's response was to fly faster, higher, toward the edge of the atmosphere where the stars beckoned like distant friends. But Arya could see the exhaustion in its movements, the way its wings trembled with effort. They needed a plan, not just an escape. Freedom's flight. As they soared above the planet's atmosphere, Arya spotted something that filled her with hope: her parents' research ship, its familiar hull gleaming in the starlight. The dragon seemed to understand her intent and angled toward the vessel. They landed on the ship's docking platform just as Arya's parents emerged, their faces a mixture of relief and amazement. Dr. Sarah Chen and Professor Marcus Volkov were renowned xenobiologists, but even they stood speechless before the magnificent dragon. "Arya," her mother called. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine, Mom," Arya replied, sliding down from the dragon's back. "But we have a problem. There are soldiers hunting him, and they want to capture him." Her father approached cautiously, his scientific mind clearly racing. "This is incredible. A living dragon on an unexplored world. But if someone is hunting it. They call themselves the Dominion," Arya explained quickly. "They had this creature tortured with some kind of control device. I removed it, and now they want him back." The dragon stood protectively near Arya, its intelligent eyes watching her parents carefully. Sarah stepped forward, her hand extended in the universal gesture of peace. "We're not here to harm you," she said softly. "We're explorers, like our daughter." The dragon studied her for a moment, then gently nuzzed her hand. Sarah gasped at the contact, and Arya saw tears in her mother's eyes. "The Dominion has no jurisdiction here," Marcus said firmly. "This is uncharted space. But they might try to take him by force. Then we help him get somewhere safe," Arya declared. "Somewhere they can't follow." Her parents exchanged a look, and she saw the moment they made their decision. "The Andromeda Transit," Sarah said. "It's a natural wormhole about 6 hours from here. Ships that go through it end up in an unexplored galaxy, completely beyond Dominion reach." The dragon seemed to understand, raising its head toward the stars with something like longing. Working together, they prepared for the journey. The dragon flew alongside their ship, a magnificent guardian escorting them through the cosmos. When they reached the swirling vortex of the Andromeda Transit, Arya felt her heart breaking and soaring simultaneously. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked, touching the dragon's snout one last time. The dragon's eyes held hers, and somehow she knew, this wasn't goodbye forever. Somewhere in the vast universe, their paths would cross again. With a final, grateful rumble, the dragon spread its wings and flew into the wormhole. The last thing Arya saw was the gleam of starlight on its scales before it disappeared into the swirling light. Later, as their ship headed home, Arya stood at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Her parents joined her, and her mother put an arm around her shoulders. "You did something amazing today," Sarah said softly. "You showed compassion to a creature that needed help, regardless of the danger to yourself." "The universe is full of wonders," Marcus added. "But the greatest wonder is the capacity for kindness between different species, different worlds." Arya smiled, touching the small scale the dragon had given her as a parting gift. It still shimmered with that otherworldly light, a reminder that some bonds transcend space and time. Somewhere in the Andromeda galaxy, she knew, a magnificent dragon was flying free among the stars, carrying with it the memory of a 12-year-old girl who believed that compassion was the greatest force in the universe. And perhaps, in the vast tapestry of space and time, their story was just beginning. The end.